show you how to put the engine into the frame. You don't need a third or fourth hand, you can do it with your own two hands. Well, first thing you do is you lift the frame. I have a lifter for motorbikes, for cars, 500 kilos. I always leave the gearbox selector at the frame and the cable's in. I don't remove it. So put it this way, then wait, I have to zoom up. That's the hose for the oil. Put it in the air hole. This is the new fuel hose. Also put it in. Gas cable, choke cable, all of it in this hole. Then next, the Bowden cables. These two here. This is the brake, the rear brake, that's the clutch. We see we need a new cable then. Important thing is that these two Bowden cables are behind the bolt. The bolt comes through here. So this one is short anyways. You can just put it somehow in the back. In the big swing arm and the bolt, if I find it. It is on the other side. The bolt has to go through here. Make sure that these cables are behind the swing arm. Put the engine, the swing arm, in the frame, then put the kickstart down and just put in the screw, and that was it. Now you move the engine a bit. You can push it in further. That's fine for now. You don't need the other end. We'll do that later. So just lift the engine. And it's in. Then you push it in. This one is a bit long, but it doesn't matter. Next thing we do is put the big engine bolt through the frame hole. So we have to move the engine and the swing arm. It's a bit of a game if you want to reach both ends. No. There we go. Attach the washer and the screw nut. So this one is a 17 on both sides. It's different from engine to engine. Maybe 13, 14, whatever. I usually use big new screws. 17. That's a new screw for the rear shock. Original would have been that short, and usually there are only, I mean this is damaged anyways, there's only a screw nut. Now we mount the exhaust. It is a Megadella version 5 CL3 SLX Maestro Juice. Funny names. Screw. And now from the other side, take care that this is loose. And a little bit of help is always allowed. And then we can tighten the big screw. The very first thing you should do is putting the fuel hose into the carburetor casing, because if the tire is on, this is a really tricky thing to do from the other side. So you just, you see the rubber here, this one, and that's where you put it in. Easier said than done. There you go. And voila. I always start from the top to the bottom to connect all the cables in. So for instance, you can start with the choke cable. You need a screwdriver to push that lever to the back. And then you can hook in. Yeah, sometimes it's a little bit twisty. Now. Next, gas cable. Just use a clean screwdriver and open the slide a bit. So this lever moves. So with that screwdriver slide trick, this lever moves to the front. And that's what need. And that's what need. This is what's needed to put in the gas cable. The hose clip onto the hose. Then put the screw in, but there are first two things you have to control, to check. You need this sealing ring, and you need this one, the big one. If one of the two is missing, then you will leak. This is a proper hose clamp. This was the original. I am preferring proper solutions, not the easy ones. The oil hose. I always put a screw in to properly close it. What you see here in the hose, there's still a small air bubble. There it is. And this is good because when you start the engine, this will be the indicator if the oil pump works or not. Because if it works, it will suck in the air bubble, so it will move. The electric cables. This is to be connected to the electric, the e-start. This is the mask goes on to the frame here. This is plus and minus from the frame, and this is the engine kill cable to turn off the engine. It goes on the pull through the 3 cables for the CD1, CDI. Put it in here. That looks good. There it is. To make it easier, you can just put some oil into it. There are 2 mask cables you need to connect minus to the frame. It's this one and the yellow one. And I always, if you put it like that, it will be damaged here. I always put it through the back. The starter engine with this cable. It's an 8-ring wrench. I always like to put the stuff onto the hardware itself where it used to be, where it shall be, so you can not lose it. Hook this in at the holder of the cylinder cover. Next thing we mount is the gear selector box. There's still some dirt left. Always check if the edges are sharp, especially at the bottom, because if the 2 parts don't fit to each other, then it's most likely that it will not be tight and drip oil. Okay. Same applies to the gear selector box itself. So clean the rest of the old paper gasket. We need grease, then we need the sealing. It's in the 4th gear, so the lever is outside. You need to hook it in here. Just like that. And now at the handlebar, shift into the first here, and you're good. Connecting the rear brake cable. There's a hole in the screw and you just put the cable through. That rhymes, doesn't it? Yeah. Then you push it towards the engine. And fix the cable. Tighten that screw nut. And we're good. I do use always 2 nipples, better safe than sorry. It's a 7 and a 8 what you need. Make sure that there's a little bit tolerance, and the rest you can set with a screw here. And if you don't have this tolerance, the push rod is always on the plate. It gets hot and colorful, and at a certain point it breaks. So there's always a little bit of tolerance needed. Let's mount the tire. Ooh, how do we get this in here? We have to get rid of the air, otherwise we would have to lift the frame a bit. It's easier to just take out, let out the air. We need M8 washers and screw nuts. Always use new M8 screw nuts. This prevents the studs from the brake drum to get damaged. You can also use metal caps with a sealing ring inside to make sure that there is no air loss over the mantle. Use a torque key. This is a 24 socket. It is a Losso gearbox. If you have a PX old, it's a 22 socket. If you have a PX old, it is a 22 socket. Push down the brake pedal and easily tighten the screw. I set it to 120. Put the safety cage over the nut. Make sure that the hole is still visible. Take the split pin. Always use a new one. It does not cost anything. New material. You're saving time and nerves and money in the end. Bend it like this, so we just shorten the ends after we bend it. Take the ends in your hand. They like to jump around the workshop, and next time you drive in with your Vespa, it may damage your tire. No fun. Dust protection cap. No need to put any grease in there. Holy shit! I did not tighten the screw. Yeah, in this case I really do like the screwdrivers. You know these? You can use a socket. And you have a better lever effect. Don't forget to push towards the screw. And then it opens. we see it is overflowing a little bit. Put in the screw again. What about the jets before you start the engine? That's the main jet stock. We have the main jet, the mixer, and the air corrector. Original there's a 160 and a BE3. That is good for most of the engines. And just use a bigger main jet. For instance, for starting the engine, it's okay to use, for instance, a 130. But two things to do. I always recommend that you don't have any funny surprises while starting the engine. Clean the holes. Make sure that it is really clean. This is the first thing. That's the first thing to do. The second thing is the big problem with the main jets. I'm gonna show that to you in a different guide. You need tools like that. It is called, good question. It's a reamer. It's called reamer. And what can you do with this reamer? You can put the main jet on it. And the Lorto uses at least till 120 or 130. It is a 130 jet, or let's say a 120 jet is exactly 1.2 millimeters. I always check, measure, and adjust if needed all of the main jets. That makes setting the carburetor way easier. So just push it on the reamer. And then measure where it gets stuck. Measure it 3 times to see if it is around 130. And what else can I do with the reamer? This is a... oh, it's a 135, I'm sorry. You can check if the sizes. This is a 132, this is a 135, so this 132 needs to get stuck earlier than the 135 because that small hole here is smaller. Let's use the 135. Hold the reamer where it gets stuck, then use the 132, and we see it is definitely smaller. How about checking straight away the 130? It got also stuck here, but what we see, the 132 seems to be quite similar than the 130, but it isn't. You see the difference? And that's important, that the 130 is a 130 and that the 132 is definitely bigger than the 130. Otherwise, you'll get really old and lose your nerves setting the carburetor. So we're good to go. Do the same with the idle jet. As you can see here, the idle jet is similar to the main jet stock. It also has the air tube, a small mixer, and the main jet here. What size do we need? So original 24 SE is a 2.9 for just starting. Just leave it to 2.9 to the original one. Always take out the battery and charge it while working on the engine, so the owner will be happy to have a fully charged battery. Next thing we do is put in again the freshly charged battery. We have the special rubber. We have the special rubber. Hook it in at the bottom and then at the top. Let's do it. Set it very well. And make sure black is mass. It's the frame. It's minus. Not to switch it. That could be dangerous. First mass, now plus. I always use a screwdriver for the screw nut at the back. Makes it easier. We apply some special grease for batteries. If you do that manual oil trick, there is no need to stink around for 100-150 kilometers. Trust me, did it often. It is enough if you put in oil there. No need to use the oil fuel mixture if you have a fuel pump. Trick. This is 2-stroke oil. Please use. Please use 2-stroke oil. Oh, come on. Yeah, it's nearly empty. So you just use your finger, you cover it with oil, and you put in a few drops of 2-stroke oil. And this is enough for the process of starting, because after a short time the oil pump will deliver. Sorry, had some beers. Make sure that there's enough fuel. We need to put in the spark plug. The 177 engines, 125 engines, they do have a short thread of the spark plug, and so most of the time. And the 200cc do have a long thread. Connect it. And another effect starter, you will see it is an unstable ignition point. watching. That was it. That's just another 200cc engine. Only service, no tuning, very rare. So thanks. See you next time. Cheers, guys.
Bist du deppert? Ein Biest!
Sorry, ja.
Bist du deppert? Ist das ein Biest jetzt?